Open up your eyes and see everything you wanted. Know if you believe it, know that you can have it, yeah.
My mission is to step out of the box. I look at hair as a blank canvas, and the scissor is the extension of my hands. With this vision, I create individuality, which gives me the freedom to express that.
Hey, Anthony.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. Good. We're so happy to have you here today.
I know, I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we have a ton of questions and we want to know everything about you.
Awesome, I'm ready.
We want our stylist to know everything about you.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Like Michelle
Awesome.
likes to say, she likes to flip our guests over and shake out all their secrets. So,
I'll be doing that to you today.
Good, I'm ready, I think.
I hope you like to share.
I do, I love sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we know that you're an artist with Wella, Sebastian, and you are in love with cutting, coloring, and styling. What is
Yes.
your favorite?
You know, I can't say that one is my favorite because I think that when you're cutting, styling, and doing the color, I think it's all one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would probably say the overall look, so I would probably say styling. Because the overall look, I would say after it's all done, it's one.
It tells
and
a
the
story,
styling,
right?
And it tells that story.
Yeah,
So I'd
absolutely.
probably say styling.
Okay.
Speaking about styling,
Yeah.
because that's what leaves the imprint, right?
Yes.
When it comes to styling, what's a great tip that you can share with our stylists in regards to just really making something come to life? You know how as artists we hold a vision in our minds and sometimes it's about letting it come through our hands and onto that canvas such
Right.
that we call hair. So what's a tip that you can share?
You know, I'm glad you asked that question because I talk a lot to stylists all over the world, and I always say that remember that you are a brand, right? We love what we do, and we kind of fall into what we do. Like
Yeah,
people could say,
absolutely,
okay,
of
she
course.
did that work,
Yeah.
or he did that work,
Yes.
right? And then we have that brand, and then you have your client's brand. So when I'm at the chair, in the beginning, a client would come into my chair and I'd be like, okay, they sit down, do their hair, right? But then when I got into the editorial world and I had to deal with clients in the editorial world and designers, I had to completely respect the brand and then try to make my brand fall within their brand. And I took that to the chair and it helped me so much along the way because I learned to follow my client's brand and blend into that, and it makes a happier client, and it made me happier too because the client is happy. And it wasn't that I was just shooting, because I know client, you can walk over to a client and be like, you want to make that big, quick, fast change? But sometimes it's just about the simplest little changes.
I think that's a
that
great
make the bigger
point
difference.
because everybody thinks it has to be larger than life. And when you're working with a brand, you have to tell their story.
Right.
So, and it's not necessarily as an artist, you don't get to walk in and do whatever you want. You're actually making that brand come to life.
Right.
And tell their entire story. I do have another question for you. So what's the best advice that you have received as a hairdresser? Because I know everybody's giving you advice early on in your career. So was there anything that influenced you that made you think maybe a little bit differently?
Yeah. You never stop learning.
Love that one. Yes.
Love that one.
Agree.
Carol Protot always said to me, the minute you stop learning, or you think you have stopped learning, just put your shears down and,
Walk away.
Give it
You're
up.
done.
Right? That's
Yeah.
it.
right?
Yeah.
So never stop learning. You'll always be open to new and innovative things and share it. And when you share it, it makes it even better because then you get to see what that other person's doing and that next person and how they see it.
It does more for you than it does for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Right.
They
right.
don't, by sharing that it does so much more for you.
That's true.
I do want to ask you something. You kind of touched on this earlier where you talked about Salon, which is real world, versus when you work editorially. I think as an artist in the salon, and I'm speaking on behalf of our stylists in the salon, like I would want to know, how do you make that transition from being a stylist behind the chair to being an editorial artist? And what are some things that you use in that real world situation behind the chair that you carry with you into the editorial world, and vice versa? Like, what do you take with you from the editorial world and bring back to the chair?
So one of the things that you just said I touched on is bringing that branding part to my chair. I'm trying to brand my client as well. And another thing that I bring to behind the chair is to take what I'm doing there, and I have to do it quick and fast. Speed.
That's
so
good.
I have to make things, I have to create ways of getting hair done really, really quick, especially when you have 40 models.
That's your moneymaker.
Exactly.
Like, hello, you do hair fast and well.
Exactly.
That's your moneymaker.
And I think that's what I take from behind the chair.
Yeah.
I make these little things up that could make me do a chignon in like maybe 1 minute.
That's awesome.
With a rubber band and a few bobbies, and just, so I'll take those things and bring them behind the chair, and clients always just like, and what that does for me is like a bridal trial, I can do 6 looks on a bride in an hour.
Yeah, her and her party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can testify to that because you knocked out
Oh my
so
gosh,
many
like
looks
5.
so fast. And then
No, we haven't had that before. Like, we've done work with a lot of brands, but no one whipped out 5 in the time that you did.
and
So
then
it's
he
true.
like rolled up his arms and was
And
like, okay,
popped
what
his
else?
collar.
You need another one? Popped his collar.
Yeah, and pop that color.
It's true because it was a transition, and what I really loved about it is Michelle and I learned that day.
Yeah.
The little technique you gave about teasing and the curling,
base,
like
yes.
we were like, write
Yeah.
that one down because we're gonna have to borrow that.
That
for
really
sure.
works.
No, it was
It's-
it was
Yeah.
it was
you were
amazing.
telling the hair what to do. Like,
Exactly.
stay there. Get up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially because hair direction, right? If you think about hair and root direction,
Yeah.
when you put that little tease in there, you're giving it the direction, and then once the iron hits it, it's hot.
Yeah.
It almost seals it in, so when
Perfect.
you brush it, it's the
Yeah.
direction that you want it to be in.
We're gonna use that this week.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, I mean, you probably hear this all the time, but this is a question that we ask every one of our artists. What do you love most about what you do? I know the answer, but tell us something different than what the typical answer would be.
Right. So typically, behind a chair, my favorite is to help someone change their life, right?
Absolutely.
Give them the confidence maybe that they didn't have to go on that job interview, or to say something to a friend that they
Yeah.
never thought they would want to say, but they didn't have the strength, stuff like that. But for me, I love the exchange of cultures that I deal with all over the world, and to be able to have my one product, being Sebastian, and getting in there and teaching them how to use it on their textures, into their culture, into what they're doing. To me, that helps me so much because it's such a great learning experience for me.
Well, I look at you as a very inspirational artist, a big artist, as I'm sure our stylists do. And one of the things I know that makes me feel really endeared to an artist is when you show a little bit of vulnerability. And in showing that vulnerability, I would like for you to tell me what your biggest mistake was. Like, what was your biggest sort of like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, like my career is over, or like, tell me what that was for you.
Not being prepared. Because at one point, I always, I did this, I was working with an artist, and they said they specifically wanted one look. And I said, okay, I don't feel like bringing my whole entire bag. She's just looking for this. And when I got there, the whole thing changed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So I didn't have the tools that I needed. So from that point on, no matter what it is, no matter what country I'm at, no matter how much I'm trying to, condense my luggage, I bring everything.
Yeah, that's a very good one. And that's why my suitcase weighs 80 pounds.
Exactly.
I don't know if you should say that on camera. It is at least 80 pounds, if not,
that's
if
what
not more.
That's what mine is about.
Yeah.
Like
Always.
in high 70s.
See, like that's normal.
I'm like, maybe I need this. I know. I'm
You're
like, maybe I need this.
telling me to bring things.
I do. I ask you to bring things. I have always been a big, massive fan of Sebastian from my career. I am obsessed with their editorial spreads. I like the mood that they always set. It's always very consistent. Tell me something about Sebastian that maybe someone else doesn't know.
Well, Sebastian is always about, well, everybody knows that Sebastian is always about being out of the box.
Yes.
Making you think different and never being satisfied with the status quo, right?
Love that.
So Sebastian is, I would probably say things that people don't know is the very beginning of Sebastian.
Okay.
Jerry Crescenza was the first to create the crimping iron.
Oh,
So
Look at that.
look at that.
she had the first true, also cellophanes being the first true
Do you know when that was, the crimping iron? Was it
in '85, I believe.
so the original era of the crimping iron?
The
was
original
like
era.
the
Well,
80s.
what it was, she just kind of made this up
Yeah.
in her basement. And they did this, they only had one.
That's
And she did the cover of Barbra
Yeah.
Streisand, and
Oh, yeah.
the texture that was in the hair, everybody's like, how did they get that done?
That's
and
so
they were
good.
like, oh my God, we don't even have these. And then they
Yeah.
had to go into like making them really, really quick.
Yeah.
And that's how the crimping iron evolved.
Wow,
Wow.
that's cool.
Amazing, yeah. What do you love most about your job?
People. I'm a people person, so I
Yeah.
really love being around people and in all different levels of life, you know?
Yeah.
And I just find I take such inspiration from people. Whether it's
Their
taking it from
energy,
the
everything.
streets, their energy, their being, something that I see that's bright in their eye or something like that. And
Yeah.
I think that that's, for me, the best part of my industry is people.
Very cool. Well, I know I can keep going on and on and on, but then it would be like a 3-hour show. So I know we
I have like a million more questions for him.
You
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, you can write him a letter.
Send him an email.
Yeah, send him an email, Facebook, something.
Oh, wait. I just want to know, like, what 2017 spring? What do you see?
You know, right now, I'm kind of I'm thinking there's like an 80s thing on the rise.
Are you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of been consistent
Softer
your whole
edge.
conversation
Yeah.
today.
Do you feel it's like 80s kind of putting like their foot into the 90s, kind of stepping into the 90s?
Yes.
I've seen a lot of things that
It's softer edge.
softer. Yep.
This is very
So-
80s. So is this.
Yes. We're
I
transitioning.
feel like Michael Jackson here.
Yep. But yet I'm also seeing an opposite. Also, is I'm seeing that they're coming in like it's super elegant, almost like kind of like in between like 50s and 80s.
Yeah, it's kind of a skip,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's like
a lot
there's
of
an
influence.
in between. Yeah, there's a lot of influence to me, and I think that this year, Christian Siriano, I'm leading for him again.
Oh,
We signed a
that's
contract
wonderful.
with him again.
Yeah, love him.
and we're not going to be at Art Beam this time. We're going to be at the Grand Ballroom at the Plaza.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Love that.
that's
Not
kind of
too shabby.
saying to
Yep.
me that
It's-
it's going to be very elegant.
elevated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like it was probably influenced by what he's styling because
Yeah.
a lot of the things that I've been seeing now is like that kind of 40s, 50s beautiful
Love that.
Yeah.
wrap jackets because he's kind of been on top of the trend, like a little bit
Okay.
ahead of it.
A little ahead.
You know, so it's I'm interested to see what he's going to bring across.
About a month ago, Anthony, you worked with us on the Expert Ed shoot, and you popped out like 5 different amazing looks.
Yeah.
Tell us about them.
All right, so those was inspired by our collection.
Yes.
Okay.
Eclectic. So I use all these
Yeah.
repurposed items
Belt
in there. Belt
buckles
buckles,
and-
yeah. I
Yeah.
had these like wooden skewers that I
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
in that I,
A lot
that
of
I painted black
embellishments.
to embellish.
We had a hard time choosing which cover to go with.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's going to really love it. I love the embellishments. Love, 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 love. And I love the fact that they were things that you can find at Michael's or Joanne Fabrics or
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yes.
So they are not often you see things that artists use and you're like, where'd that come from? And it's Japan or
Right.
Europe
Right.
somewhere.
Right.
It's somewhere
Right.
and you're like, no, just went to Michael's.
Yeah.
This is what I'm
Exactly.
using. So super cool.
It was so much fun working with you guys.
Yeah.
It really was. You're behind the scene right now at Expert Edge. We reached out to the millennials in this collection specifically, and what they do is they'll embrace your label, but they really want to make it their own. So we're going to be seeing some anywhere from those softer looks into a more avant-garde kind of feel, and to reinvent your own self and creativity. So this whole look will have 3 products. Starting in the beginning, from the root, dry clean only, zero gravity, which is a workable hairspray, from root to end, and then my finish will be with dark oil and just brushing. So I'm taking 1/4 inch sections, and what I'm doing is building a foundation, and I'm building that foundation with dry clean only, adding the dry clean only on both sides, and what this is doing right now is building a good foundation for me and getting the hair to lift off the scalp. I'm thinking about how I want this hair to fall on the architecture of her head. So basically what I want, most of my fullness I want throughout here. So I want less as I come to the back, but I still want to make sure that I'm distributing the product all the way through on every single section of her head. One product just goes inside of the root. The other product, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take 1/4 inch sections through, and I'm going to spray all the way and all the way to the ends. So when taking the 1/4 inch sections and spraying with the zero gravity, I like to leave the hair up until it dries. So this really starts me to get that lift inside of the root. As you notice, as I come down to the rounding of the head shape, I'm already thinking that I don't need so much volume and movement there, so there's less product here as I go all the way up. And I'm just gonna take my hands inside of the root area, and I'm gonna feel that product dry into the hair. I feel like when you do a crimp of the root, you can always see that crimp. So that's why I go in and I just do a little bit of a back comb in there. That back comb works as this nice little cushion, and it really helps to lift the hair. So I'm taking like arced shaped sections, and the reason for that is the hair will distribute on the round of the head easier than it will if you do on a square, because the square will leave you edges. So I will slightly over direct the section forward. I'm going to back comb this out a little bit, right through here. The next thing is that I will take the iron and I'll just go over that part that I just back combed in here to start to create that to set. And then I'm gonna take the iron, I'm gonna hold it the whole entire time inside all the way through, and then I'm gonna pull it through this way. Now, I'm never going to leave the root area. I won't leave it. You see how I come through here? The whole entire time when I'm setting, I need to hold it here, because what I don't want to happen is that this comes straight to curly. So by holding the iron the whole entire time and then pulling it through this way, the root really stays nice and curly and wavy. And I'll just hold my fingers on here and see when the heat starts to come through. And I'm just going to slide the iron out. And I'm gonna just take 2 pins, put it through, and through, complete. Stylists always, once they curl hair, they're always afraid to brush the hair. In order to get a beautiful look that really hugs the head and the architecture of the head, by brushing from the root all the way down and brushing that curl out really helps to get the softest and hugging, sexy, wavy look. See, as I brush here, I can really brush this out, but watch. The minute I go inside of here, look what that cushion does for me. It's just gonna really help that hair to lift, and I can get as much movement as I want inside of here.